With the highest respect for a man who knows how to put a shine on a car, I thank him and head home. Besides carrying the rubbing compound, I carry that kid feeling. I don't know anything compared to him. It's too bad that everybody who owns a car can't have a neighbor like Bill. Whatever he gave me worked. In a few hours, the hood of my '77 Ford pickup looked almost like new. In nearly every area of life, there's somebody to look up to. Whenever I get the chance, I like to ask these men what they've seen, that I might understand more of how life works. I'm just finishing a carpentry job for a man named Tom. His life fascinates me. I would like to visit with him for hours, asking questions about his work, what he did in his family that turned out well, what didn't. I'd like to hear about his childhood, his schooling, and how he chose his career. Maybe he would tell me more about what it's like to land a jet on an aircraft carrier at night in a storm with an all but empty fuel tank. He's only a year or two older than me, yet I feel like a youngster beside him and eagerly welcome any opportunity to see life through his eyes. As fellow workers retire and friends die, I'm realizing that in some areas of life, I'm no longer the kid. I look over my shoulder and see many young guys behind me who haven't had my experiences, nor seen what I've seen. They don't have gray hair, a wrinkled face, nor do they need reading glasses. I never want to lose the kid feeling and the hunger to learn from the wise around me. I'd still rather sit beside Grandpa Dow, asking him questions and hearing his perspective on life. Yet it's time for me to offer my experiences to those younger who want to know them. On November 18th, 1967, I began reading my Bible daily and applying its lessons to everyday situations. I've come to learn by experience that the God who created the world and used about 40 men over the course of some 1,500 years to write the Bible is the same God who controls life's events today. He's knowledgeable, trustworthy, and kind. It's because of these experiences with him that I write what I've seen. I wish we could meet in my office and have a face-to-face talk. However, it's only a 4x8 room off my workshop. After crowding in a desk, computer, filing cabinet, and bookshelves, there's only room for one folding chair for any guests. Better yet, I'd enjoy gathering around the wood stove, sitting on a 5-gallon bucket, or leaning against the table saw. Again, that's not just practical. For most of you, don't live anywhere near Walterville. The next best thing is for me to come into my office alone, open the door to the warmth of the shop, and, as personally as possible, write about how God has expressed himself through everyday life to me. That's what I'm attempting to do. In the past, I've already written to some of you about general things boys face in the boyhood and beyond. After that, I've given you Created for Work, stories specifically for young men about seeing God while taking their first steps in the business world. Why am I writing to you about practical happiness now? To answer that question, I have to go back 20 years to the day my wife said to me, "I'd rather live in a garage that's paid for than a house that's not." That statement started us on an adventure that drastically altered our lives. We asked the question, could a family live in America during the 21st century without borrowing money for anything? We began that day to see if it was possible. We sacrificed many comforts, worked long hours, and made our share of mistakes along the way. Times were often tough as I worked my regular carpentry job during the day and diligently labored building our own home every spare moment. My youngest daughter worked by my side, learning her fractions from a measuring tape and developing a mind for hard work. My oldest daughter's interests were in keeping house, not carpentry. Nevertheless, she would often come out and sit nearby, keeping us entertained with friendly chatter. I began to notice I rarely saw my middle daughter. One day I asked her, "Emily, you don't come around much anymore while you're working. Why is that?" Without pausing to think about it, she answered, "I don't like being around people that aren't happy, and you're not happy." Her words hit me like the time the backhoe operator accidentally dropped the bucket on my head. Me? Not happy? If someone had asked, I would have answered, of course I'm happy. I had a super family, a great job, land to work, health, friends, a Christian perspective, and yet her words were true. I was missing something. For 15 years, I've taken a serious look at what makes a man happy. The highlights of my discoveries appear in the following chapters. This isn't a comprehensive discussion of happiness. It's simply some things I've discovered while eagerly looking for the answers to my questions from everyone I met, and especially from the one to whom I'll always be a kid, my Father in heaven. It's my attempt to pass on to men, young and old, a few tools that have helped me overcome some of the selfishness and discouragement that had robbed my joy. Through good times and assorted trials. These are lessons I wish some older man had told me when I was young. Though you're in various stages of manhood, may these stories encourage you to seek God for yourself, like an inquisitive child, with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Luke 18:16 and 17 says, But Jesus called them unto him, and said, allow, little children to come unto me, and forbid them not. For of such is the kingdom of God. Verily I say unto you, whosoever shall not receive the kingdom of God as a little child shall in no wise enter therein. Time for questions. Go get your notebook or go get the computer so that you can get your answers written down or typed. First question. Make sure also you write or type chapter 1 so we know which chapter this is when I go to look at your work. Chapter 1. There it is. Pause it if you need to type it or spell it. Okay. These are not labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, but it's okay. Just write number 1. What is the one-word question that little children ask many times each day? So think about it and write it down. I'm moving on. If you need more time, pause the movie. Number 2, how does asking questions express humility? Pause if you need more time. Number 3, why don't proud people like to ask questions? Pause if you need more time. Number 4, in the context of this chapter, at what age does a man stop feeling like a kid? And the last question, number 5. What was the question my wife and I asked that drastically changed our family's life? If you need help answering these questions, you're going to have to go back and read the chapter yourself, or go back and listen to the chapter that I read again.